Welcome, distinguished panelists and audience, to this crucial conversation on DPI in action. I have witnessed firsthand the transformative impact of DPI at the scale of India, especially when it's designed with inclusion at its core, both from my experience at Aadhaar and also as CEO of Step Foundation that works at the intersection of technology and transformation. That is why I'm excited today to have these distinguished panelists, each representing a diverse DPI journey. They'll be sharing their journeys, their lessons, and their way forward as they are all undergoing a DPI-enabled transformation. DPI represents shared digital systems that are secure, interoperable, and support inclusive delivery of public and private services across society. India's journey demonstrates that DPI can compress generational change into years, achieving in 9 years in financial inclusion what would otherwise have taken close to 50 years. The G20 consensus on DPI under India's presidency established that DPIs are essential for equitable development, particularly in the global south. We are also witnessing a historic shift where the global south is pioneering innovative digital transformation, often leapfrogging traditional systems. The creation of a global DPI repository now showcases 54 DPIs from 16 countries, providing a knowledge base for nations embarking on their digital journeys. DPI-as-a-Service, or DaaS, which was announced in the last Carnegie GTS, is enabling countries like Brazil, Malawi, Trinidad and Tobago to rapidly deploy solutions without sacrificing quality, security, or sovereignty. Despite impressive gains, there are persistent challenges in DPI adoption that need to be addressed. What concrete lessons can we extract from successful DPI implementations around the world? How can these experiences inform digital transformation efforts worldwide? What practical frameworks and policy frameworks can help nations with limited resources or technical capacity to implement DPI effectively? These are some of the questions we will be discussing. I look forward to our panelists sharing insights from their experiences as we explore how DPI can become a tool for inclusive development across the globe. Rosemary, if I may start with you, could you please elaborate on Uganda's DPI journey with digital identity? It contributed to governance efficiency and financial inclusion while addressing challenges like low birth and death registration rates. What's been your experience?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carnegie India, for inviting me. I'm always excited to be here. I cannot talk about our journey without talking about Triple ITB Bangalore. I want to thank Professor Rajagopalan and the team, Krish and everybody, for giving us the experience that we have had. Our journey with DPI began with a need. What was our need? We are a brownfield, meaning that we had an identity solution, but we had a challenge in 3 key areas. 1, interoperability. 2, scalability. 3, flexibility, or the ability to change at the rate at which our legal system was changing. And 4, expanse. I'll discuss each briefly. So, our vendor product was very good. It worked very well. It was secure. But every time we needed another desktop or another tool to add to our list of tools, would need a new license. Now, furthermore, it had been made 10 years ago, and each time we needed to change something, we'd have to call a team, and they would have to guide us through this. And in essence, we were really locked in. For change, we needed somebody. For every aspect of expansion or improvement or continuous, additions, we needed to have a vendor on board. It was not sustainable. It was not a sustainable model. So enter MOSIP. Our journey with MOSIP began really 2 years ago. And we only signed a contract 1 year ago. 2 years ago, we began the discussion. 1 year ago, we signed a contract with what they call an integrator. And our journey has been exciting. We started out with a small team, and it was an experiment I took, of 12 people who had very little understanding of technology. We interested them in the platform, said, get onto the platform, download it, it's free, you can access it, and begin the customization journey to the Registration of Persons Act of Uganda. It was a slow journey of 4 months, but by 5 months, people had gotten a grip of what they needed to do, and the customization journey began. So by the time we had an integrator on board, we were giving the integrator code to work with. From the DPG we had downloaded, we'd improved it to align with our law, and now we were giving them, please start from here. So for me, that's the first key success, I would say, in our journey. The other issue, what would I improve? Documentation of that DPG. Now, the other thing I would like to highlight, the standardization and information security and inclusion aspects of the DPG that we worked with. Consent became a matter of discussion. It's implemented almost in every aspect of the MOSIP platform that we work with. So in essence, the importance of privacy and protection of personal data became a topic that we were all aware of. It was in our previous product, I must say, but now it came into everybody's space. We had to learn with it and grow with it. What are the other things that I'm curious and glad to know that this DaaS has taken off, DPI-as-a-Service. Our issue with that has been jurisdictional data jurisdiction across or out of our country. I'm sure there's a solution for it, but our journey has been exciting because of the interoperability, the scalability, the flexibility, and the standardization and information security that the product, that the DPG that we were presented with has helped us. It is also going to, we are at piloting stage, but we can already see people plugging into the DPI to expand and strengthen fintechs. So even with the existing fintechs in the economy, the information security and the standard at which the DPG came at is driving, is driving technology up. Now, you don't just program; you have to program at a certain standard. So there is a chance for Africa. We have the smallest T, 10%. So in essence, you can a partnership in this area will really strengthen not just us but everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Mr. Farouk, Nigeria has gone beyond identity into payment systems, and you've been leveraging DPI to transform civil services into efficient, citizen-centric institutions. And you also tell us about your plans for data exchanges on your journey forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Shankar. And please allow me to first start by thanking the Indian government and indeed their partners for inviting me to this very important and auspicious event. There's been a lot of learning in the last 2-3 days. Now, that said, I would like to put this in context. Nigeria happens to be the most populous country on the African continent, with about 250 million people, out of which 70% is under the age of 35, meaning that the median age is about 19. And so we're in that space where we have a lot of useful population that needs to be engaged. Secondly, it's also important to point to the fact that our economy has been the biggest economy on the continent, and so our GDP requires that we have very robust solutions. And so the government of Nigeria has taken a deliberate position in terms of how do we move forward. And the way it has been done is to go by diversification of our economy across all sectors, to create new job opportunities, to be economically empowering the vast majority of the people that are coming. And one convenient way to do that is through technology. Now, our journey to DPI, I would say, has been a long one, probably have started before we know anything about DPI. I think back 10, 15 years back, many Nigerian ministries, departments, and agencies, and even private sector have already deployed different kind of digital solutions. But this digital solution has always been in silos, isolated, lacking any very clear standards. Now, with the coming of the idea of DPI, which simply we see as capability to be able to use digital tools to create new economic opportunities in a very inclusive and far-reaching way across time and space. Now, with all of this, the question for us is, where do we stand when it comes to what has already been done in terms of our legacy assets and what we will be achieving if we adopt the concept of DPI as a model? And so it took the government leadership, especially within the digital economy sector, which I am working, almost the whole of 2023 and some part of 2024 to go around the world to engage from India itself to Europe to China to the US. And what we found was that the concept of DPI has two extremes. The first extreme being adopted by smaller countries in terms of numbers, where you have almost what you can call a straitjacket approach to integration and deployment of digital systems. On the other extreme is siloed systems, like you will find in Nigeria and in many other countries, including big countries. And in between are countries that have been able to synchronize and define rails like ID systems, like payment systems, and data exchanges to be able to pull in the other strings and have a wider integrated system. And so what we have done lately is to try and place ourselves. And incidentally, we happen to fall at the last extreme, where you have all kind of digital solutions, but that are siloed. And so the question is, if we are going to go into the DPI space or DPI race, where do we start? And so a starting point for us in recent times has been to develop a strategic framework, which we see as a long-term visionary and strategic decision that is going to help us to create a digital capability that will be able to provide solutions across economic, social, political, and even environmental problems. And in order to do this, we need to have a well-crafted long-term strategy. And that was what we did. Early in 2014, we launched the Nigeria's digital strategy, which has 5 pillars. The first pillar is knowledge, where we are currently running the biggest capacity building program in the world. That is the 3MTT program, where we intend to train 3 million young Nigerians in all aspects of technology. And this has been on in the last year. We've so far trained over 200,000 young people. The next item is for us defining the policy framework, and that is how the DPI concept came about. As a policy, as a strategy, the government decides that we will build a digital infrastructure leveraging on already existing assets and expanding from that. And of course, we also quickly recognize that for you to do this, you need infrastructure. The foundational infrastructure hasn't been there. As we speak now, we are running a project that is going to install 90,000 kilometers of fiber across all nook and crannies of the country, expanding our broadband connectivity to 95% by the year 2030. This project is already on, leveraging on the already 40,000 kilometers of fiber optics that are in place. And of course, we are looking at innovation, entrepreneurship, and capital as the fourth pillar, with trade being the last one. And so, as we speak, we have narrowed the DPI vision as a people-oriented vision, relying solely on live events. So the current framework that we have come up with, arising from the strategy, is what you call DPI framework for live event support. So we recognize that the whole concept is to make people happy. And how do you do that? We define from the beginning of the journey, which is a birth, from our birth to our death, there are a number of issues that we deal with regularly. And these are the areas where we want DPI to help liberate and ensure that we are moving forward. So in essence, as we speak, Nigeria already has a digital ID system with over 100 million people already fully identified through the NIM system. We have also, over the years, as part of the Silo program, had the interbank exchange system, which is an instantaneous payment system that is already connecting both fintechs and all other sectors. So in essence, we already have the foundational building blocks for DPI, and as we speak, we are working to develop the data exchange, which is going to provide the integration across all the various legacy assets that are there. And this is going to place Nigeria within the next couple of months in a place where we had already leapfrogged in terms of our economic resilience, inclusivity, and sovereignty. And so we see DPI not as a product to import, but rather as a solution to be built, managed, and cascade into problem-solving, happiness creation tools for our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Gertrude, in Malawi, you have been experimenting with DPI as a service. You have evaluated it and you've decided to go ahead with it. Can you please share your experiences on that and inform the audience how such models can be scaled to other developing countries? Why is it relevant to other developing countries with limited resources?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Carnegie as well as the Ministry of External Affairs in India for the opportunity to come here, participate as well as share our experiences and also gain some deeper insights in various areas, not only DPI. Before I answer that question, I just want to give a brief background on DPI in Malawi. And I'll start with where we started. So DPI journey, that was way before we knew that this is called DPI. We started in 2010 to be specific. And that started because of, I'll start with digital identification, pressure coming from the banking sector, especially because of some legal frameworks that have been enacted in the country. In 2006, the country enacted the AML as well as CFT policy. And this put pressure on the financial sector when it came to compliance. The reason being that Malawi had no national ID. So we had several documentation that we used to identify citizens. Some were more traditional in the sense that apart from passports as well as driver's license, we used all sorts of things, letters from village headmen, letters from academic institutions or employers and so forth. That put a lot of pressure on the banking sector when it came to verifying those identities and so forth. And then in 2010, two things happened. There were two legal frameworks that were enacted in the country. One of them was the National Registration Law, and the second was a revision of the Banking Act of 1989. These reforms were being undertaken, one for the Banking Act because of the digital transformation that was happening in the payment sector. One of them, the bringing in non-banking payment service providers like the mobile money operators. And the second was for the National Registration Bureau was now to put structures in place that oversee as well as coordinate the implementation of the digital identification system. And in 2017, that's when the digital identification system went live in Malawi. By the end of the year, Malawi had registered and issued IDs for almost 100%. And in addition to that, because Malawi did not have any legacy identity system, we leapfrogged in issuing digital IDs in the country. Now, coming to the DPI block that is responsible for payments, we implemented what we call a national switch that promotes inclusive as well as interoperable digital payments in the country. Inclusive in the sense that in terms of participation, both commercial banks as well as non-banks payment service providers are integrated to the national switch. So we do have all the commercial banks, all the mobile money operators, microfinancing institutions, savings and credit cooperatives, as well as fintechs integrated to the national switch. This happened in 2015. Now, go to the digital public infrastructure that is specific for trusted data exchange. This is still work in progress. But what happened is in 2016, there was a law that was also passed. This is the Electronic Transaction and Cybersecurity Law. And that law provided a legal framework under which our government came and established what we call an e-government unit under the Ministry of Information and Digitalization. And that work commenced with a lot of challenges. Until now, we are facing those challenges. Now, coming to your question, to your submission that Malawi is working on DPI as a service. This came in because of the challenges, some of the challenges that I'm going to mention. And one of them is that when it comes to digitalizing government departments, ministries, as well as agencies of government, each one of them, they're working in silos. There's a lot of fragmentation in the economy. And that is putting a lot of pressure in terms of how we progress, as well as in terms of financial resources and sustainability of the various systems that are being put in place. The second is to do with, these are solutions that are procured, and they don't use open source standards. And for that reason, we have had challenges in terms of us achieving the data exchange because those systems are not interoperable and don't have capabilities to interoperate. And the other issue is to do with technical capabilities challenges. Really, I think that's how we found ourselves in a position where we have all these systems being implemented by different MDS, although we have an e-government unit in government. In 2023, we started engaging with CDPI, and we also attended the IITB in Bangalore, and that was actually eye-opening for us because most of the issues that we're struggling with, they became so apparent to us. We got to understand that there are solutions out there that we can use. So for that reason, we have been experimenting. We signed a letter of intent with CDPI, and we went ahead, started looking at all these frameworks, especially for data exchange. The fact that from 2016, when that law was enacted, not much has been achieved so far. Of course, the government under e-government has gone ahead to implement a shared platform for all the government services and so forth, and also a billing system for the government services. And that also is supposed to integrate to the national switch for interoperability, specifically for payments. But then because of the issues that I'm talking about, to say most of these systems are not interoperable, this is a challenge to us. And that's why we are considering digital DPI as a service. Now, in terms of some of the challenges in DPI, how we are overcoming them, the issue to do with sustainability and so forth, in as much as DPI has been institutionalized in Malawi, but you find that the issues to do with sustainability in terms of financing and then long-term kind of sustainability, sustaining the operations and all that, it's a challenge because whether it's digital identification, whether it's inclusive and interoperable payments, these are solutions that the country got from outside Malawi, and any change, as my colleagues have pointed out, to say, any functionality that you want to add on it, any change that you want to introduce and all that, it comes at a cost. And the issues are compounded because that dependency on vendors, then we haven't equipped our own people with the right technical skills for them to be able to develop systems as well as to maintain those systems. So there is heavy reliance on the vendors that are supplying those solutions. So DaaS for us is the right solution. In terms of sustainability, for the digital payment systems that are interoperable in Malawi, there is public and private partnership that is in place. In as much as the solution was implemented with funding from the government, they sourced that funding from the World Bank Group. Management of the operations or implementation and management of the operations, it's done by the private sector. So that introduces these operations are self-sustaining. as well as the efficiencies that are needed. And the reason why this was done is there were some trust issues from the private sector when government was implementing these DPIs. And one of them, especially on the payment space, they did not trust government to implement as well as to operate them. And then because of those engagements and consultations with the private sector, it was decided that that would be run by the private sector, as well as ownership was passed on to the private sector. And for that reason, the national switch is more of a self-sustaining, those are self-sustaining operations. We haven't really done the same for the other DPI rails. That is, of course, because of state issues and all security issues and all that. I really don't see that happening. But ongoing with all this interoperability and all that, because when we are introducing interoperability or new use cases on the digital identification system, one of them is the account to the ID account mappers and all that. There's that collaboration between the financial sector as well as the bureau that is responsible for civil registration. And we also are leveraging on the existing infrastructure. We're currently working with government departments to digitize the disbursement of social funds, as well as to digitize revenue collections, that is both tax and non-tax revenue collections, by leveraging the interoperable and or inclusive payment DPI. And so that has tended to bring everyone together for us to work together. Slowly, we are improving the trust issues that we have. But the technical capabilities, as well as DaaS, is from working with CDPI in India. It is indeed assisting us, one, in resolving issues to do with technical capabilities, two, in implementing the trusted data exchange system in a more faster way than before. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta. Mr. Isaac, Mr. Farooq talked about a DPI framework which was around making people happy, a cycle from birth to death. I was fascinated when we were talking about how DR has implemented a human-centered approach to DPI. I found that fascinating. Could you please share Dominican Republic's journey and dive into this human-centered approach to digital transformation?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much for the introduction. In the name of the Ministry of Public Administration in the DR and the Dominican Republic people, thank you very much for this invitation. Thank you to Carnegie India and the government of India. It is a huge honor to be here with you guys. I'm really excited because this is like a dream come true. In first place, because this is my first time in India. And since I was a little kid, it was like a dream for me to visit this beautiful country and meet these beautiful people. And in second place, because I'm pretty sure that here in this Global Technology Summit, some of the most brightest minds are present here trying to build a better future for our communities. So I need to be realistic. Probably I'm not the best guru in the DPI's ecosystem, but I'm assure you guys that with my experience in the public sector in the Dominican Republic, I have a strong and a fresh view, perspective of how those systems can integrate with the government strategic to the benefit, to a true benefit for our people. For 14 years, I've been working with the government and the public sector as a policymaker in health, in public systems, in education, and for the past 5 years with management, all the administrative consultation in the government, and also with the digital transformation and innovation. And I found some in common for those 14 years of experience. And it's the need to move the in-from-person public services to digital quickly platform for the benefit of our people. And when we're talking about digital services, when we're talking about digital platform, must be focused on people's need. And when we're talking about the digital transformation, I think that the foundation of those goals, of course, are the DPIs, the DPGs, the building blocks, and the innovation. That's why in the Dominican Republic, we believe that digital public infrastructure is not just a technical foundation. It is the enabler of everything we want to achieve to a modern governance. In our view, DPI makes three essential contributions. First, it allows governments to design and deliver services that are faster and more efficient. Second, it makes the interoperability possible, breaking silos and promoting collaboration across all the institutions in the states. And third, it helps build trust through transparency, inclusion, and accountability. And these are not abstract goals. They are practicals. They are measurable and necessary. In my country, we see digital public infrastructure not only as a set of technologies, but as a path to improve lives. Our vision, guys, is simple and practice. Build a government that works better for everyone, with services that are accessible, efficient, but above all, human-centered. And for that, we are currently working on several key areas. The first, we are promoting a zero bureaucracy approach, a model where citizens no longer have to navigate into complex processes, visit multiple offices, or deal with unnecessary paperwork. We want to simplify services, eliminate friction, and deliver public value quickly and transparently through digital channels. Second, we are improving interoperability among all government institutions to enable data sharing in a safe, of course, and ethical way, reduce bureaucracy, and provide faster public services. But we know, guys, that technology alone is not enough. That is why, as director of innovation in my country, we put the digital inclusion as the center of our strategy. We want to make sure that no one is left behind, not because of age, not because of gender, not because of income or location. And to do this, we are focusing on digital literacy programs, partnerships with local communities, and the design of a simple, friendly platform that truly responds to the people's needs. Finally, I want to emphasize that for us, the digital transformation is not just a technical challenge. People, the digital transformation, it is a social and an ethical mission for our countries. It is about restoring trust in the public institution, empowering citizens, and building a stronger democracy through transparency and participation. And we need to take the success case, for example, with the digital transformation in Singapore. I had to bring the case, for example, of the open source in Estonia, and of course here in India. Then, in the present, they bring, for example, the DPI plus the AI as the bridge from the next 1 billion of Indian people. That's amazing. That's why in the Dominican Republic, we are still learning. And we are open to still learning. We are still growing. But we are deeply committed that walking this path together with the global community towards a more open, inclusive, and resilient digital future is the best way for all. And that's why, and finally, for the first time ever in the Dominican Republic, we are coordinating the first DPI Summit Dominican Republic with the support of the CDPI, the support of the Inter-American Development Bank, and the United Nations through the UNDP. So you are welcome to visit the Caribe in the Dominican Republic and share your experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you for a passionate definition and a description of what you do in DR. Mr. Anish, India is acknowledged as a global leader, and DPI is strategic to India's long-term growth and becoming Viksit Bharat by 2047. But you're also advising the ministry on the many ways of India helping global DPI adoption. Can you talk of why is DPI strategic to India and what India is thinking of helping global DPI adoption?
Thank you, sir. And very good afternoon to everyone present here. So, sir, it all started with way back in 2023 when India assumed the G20 presidency. So when we were about to set the agenda for G20 presidency, our top leadership decided that this time the agenda of G20 will not be only India's agenda, but it will be the agenda of the Global South. So we held a Global South Summit, Voice of Global South Summit, and from there this DPI things came, that India should do something to promulgate DPIs for the global adoption. Sir, you rightly said in the G20 outcome, we created, the G20 forum created a global repository for the DPIs things. Social impact fund was also announced, and that the work is still in progress. But apart from that, since then we have signed MOU with 20 countries in the field of digital cooperation. And it's not only about signing the MOU with the countries, we are actually working on that front with many countries. We have very active engagement with countries like, I will say Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Sierra Leone, to our neighborhood countries, towards our east with Fiji, PNG, towards west with Trinidad, Tobago. And when I say active engagements, these engagements are in terms of sharing our experience with them, training and capacity building needs, and in few cases, helping the countries in actual adoption of those DPIs. And I will also say it's not about the countries with whom India has signed MOU. We are not only working there, we are also working with the countries where the MOU has not been signed. For example, we are working with Uganda, we are working with Peru, we are working with Namibia, and many other countries. So MOU is just a bilateral means, but it is not limited to the MOUs signed. And again, when we partner with other countries, it's not about only the three basic DPIs, the ID layer, the payment layer, and the data exchange layer. There are demands from the countries for the very specific, sector-specific DPIs or DPCs. For example, countries are leading India health stacks. They are also talking about our agri stack. They are talking about our education stack. So, so I can say there is a not only interest, but there is a willingness to adopt the basic DPIs, that is ID, payment, and data exchange there. But again, there are interest in adopting the sector-specific DPIs as well. So there is a, I will like to say there is a certain way in which we approach our global partners for the global promulgation of DPIs. And the same ethos was also stated by our co-panelist also. So we feel that it's not about the technology. It's not that the open source interoperable software codes and protocol you put in a freely downloadable website, countries will go and download it and adopt the DPI. So it's not the case. There are certain elements, certain prerequisites for that. Country has to be e-ready to a certain threshold. There has to be a political will. Probably there will be a training and capacity building needs for the line ministry or the institutions which will champion the DPI in that particular country. And the country needs to draw the legal, the policy and regulatory boundary conditions so that they can create. So like one of my co-panelists said, it's not about the importing the product, it's about developing the product without reinventing the wheels. So country needs to draw the political, legal and regulatory boundary conditions within which the DPI will work so that the digital space is not monopolized by certain players and the field is level for big and smaller private players to flourish their innovations. So our approach with our partner country that we provide a whole solution. We first share our experience with them, our digital journey with them so that the political class is ready. We also provide the training and capacity building needs for the institutions or the line ministry which will champion the DPI so that they feel confident. And once these set of things are ready, then we work with our partner countries to draw the legal requirements, regulatory requirements with them so that the DPI is developed as per their needs under their own sovereign control. And after that, the technology transfer things comes. And if there is a need for further training, further hand-holding, we also are willing to provide the initial hand-holding so that the DPI journey continues. I will also say that it doesn't mean that we are only working on a bilateral forum, country to country. We are also working with a trilateral forum where two countries coming together helping the third country. We are also working on the multilateral forum. And within India, we are adopting a whole of society approach. Where we are working with our think tanks, we are working with our institutions who are developing DPIs, we are working with the private players so that very innovative solutions that are coming can be exposed to the global south or to the global world. So we are taking a whole of society approach where all the relevant stakeholders are coming together and helping the world to adopt and to go for a DPI journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Anish. That was fascinating. A whole of society approach to societal transformation. Mr. Butayeb, your keynote, you talked about the two big projects that you have personally led in Morocco, identity and now education. One is a foundational DPI, the other is a sectoral DPI. Can you please go into some elements of the how, maybe focusing on why collaboration was important, focusing on change management, and for the recent FMPS project, how you put together a unique funding model, a collaborative funding model. If you could, and into these three and any other hows, I'm curious to understand the secret sauce of how Morocco pioneered both its important DPI journeys.
Thank you, Shankar. Effectively, each country, I think, has its own path to address this question of DPI approach or going on using DPG for DPI. And it has its own history, its own digitization pathway. And I think that first, the first thing to do is to look around and to, for example, Morocco is too near from Europe. So we are focused US and Europe. And we have to see elsewhere. India is the best example. And we have to study carefully this Indian experience, not only by reading things, but come here and visit and see what is working and go on the field and see how it is lived by people. And we did that in 2017, and it was very, very rich experience. And I think that we have to, there is something that is important to say, is that Indian subcontinent is very similar to African continent. There are developing challenges that are similar. Many dialects, many ethnies, a lot of problems, young people. So we can learn from each other, and you are front ahead, and you have to learn from what you, and try to see, and we have to begin where we are the most comfortable and where the need is the most urgent. And it could be foundational DPI, it could be sectorial DPI, like Mr. Anish said, education or health or something like that, or it could be to solve some problem. For example, your approach to ONDC through open network, it speaks to me because you can use this approach to help the informal population to go to formal environment very slightly, by helping them to have this. But in every project, we'll face difficulties, and that's why we have to have a strong change management approach. And besides political will, we'll have always opposition. For example, when we began building the ID system, we have an existing system which is built on an identity card. So it's normal. Why building another ID system? Because we have this one. So there is sort of difficulties to go through that. The regulation, the data protection agency also, and in that case, I think that, and in all other projects, our colleague Isaac from Dominican Republic is in the administration for 15 years. I spent 18 years in the administration of Italia, and for every project, it's the same thing. We have to be patient, extremely patient. We have to never give up. Even we can stop and just let it until we have the green light from somewhere to restart again. We have to unite energies by explaining, by reformulating, by reformulating vision, priorities, action, ideas, until you have enough people with you. Because if you are alone, it's not the you have to bring the points of view together closer to see how to do that. For example, now I'm trying to give this point of view closer between the ID system and the other system. And there are opportunities to do that. So why having two ID systems if we can have one strongest one? And you have always to negotiate to go forward. You can't just say, it's my point of view and I have to go there. So, but not without forgetting the ultimate goal. Because you have a goal and you have to try to use tactics and to. And as I said, funding and technical aspects are not the most important. The most important is to do, to look for champions, to build favorable systems. Because this DPI approach is a long process and it's a slow process. We can't go very fast because we will perhaps find us alone, no one with us. So we have to, and we have to be a risk taker. I'm glad that my colleague from Uganda is working now with Mozip. When we signed the MBU, there is no line code on Mozip written, but we trust because we see what was done with Aadhaar. So it was just a matter to rewrite properly, better the code of Mozip and to integrate around it. So we'll not begin from scratch. We have a brownfield, so we have to see how to take this brownfield and to push it toward the DPI approach with this all its principle: reuse, transparency, interoperability, openness, scalability, data privacy design by design, etc., etc. And that's what we did with the RNP system. And that we are doing now with LTMS. LTMS approach began with the fact that I came again and I saw what you did with Diksha in every state with different languages, with different challenges. So, and I understood also, but under Diksha there is this Sunbird environment with these building blocks that we can use to build something like a Lego. So we have not to be a very technical guy, but we have to understand what could be used by using these technological things. And now I am now the president of a foundation in preschool, a huge NGO. I have 24,000 educators around the country. And this 24,000, the quality and all the challenge is that we have quality educators. And so training, it's by training and evaluation. On training aspect, it couldn't be presential all the time. It will be too costly. So you have to go to e-learning training, to virtual training. But it could be just top to bottom, like we do now with this traditional e-learning platform. But our aim through this LTMS platform is to position the educator, where is he? And after that, to build with him the pathway to give him the module, the quizzes, and to help him to go from this first step, junior educator, to more experimented one. And this, we did it with the help of COS, but I think that the project was very interesting, and we had the pleasure to have with us Google Cloud and its partner, Protean Tech, Sanketika, and also we were pleased to have a contribution financial of develop. But I think that it's just the first step. We have to build an environment. I'm working on having with us universities to master this Sunbird environment, to use it as sandbox, to do something with that. Because as we did for Mozip, now there is a MOU between IIIT Bangalore and the university, Moroccan University, to be the center of excellence on Mozip. When we signed the first MOU, I asked to have maintenance for 5 years. The 5 years is now ending, and it will be taken by the UM6P University for the next years. We'll do the same for the DPI. We are now looking for a center of excellence of DPI. So building the ecosystem will take time, but it's the only way to do that. And looking for champions and mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butaib. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We had a fascinating conversation. One quick, if all of you could think and talk for 10 seconds, if there's one thing you could ask of this audience, and this audience comprises countries, technology companies, philanthropists and funders, universities, multilateral organizations, who have all been witnessing your journey and listening to your wisdom. If there's one thing that you want to ask of them, if you can just think in 1 or 2 sentences, what is that one thing you would ask of this audience? Maybe Mr. Butaib, and we'll go this way. Yeah. Just one thing. What would that be?
To help in capacity building.
Capacity building. Thank you. Ms. Gertrude?
Thanks a lot. For me, it's the technology companies. As you have heard that in Malawi, we have offshore solutions. Please do try to open up your sources so that you can give us capabilities to develop on the foundation, to continue developing on the existing foundational systems that we have implemented. Thank you.
Ms. Rosemary?
Thank you very much. This is the case for Africa. There are 1.17 billion young people. Even if that was $1 from each, you have $1.17 billion waiting. Furthermore, they are young. All those 1.17 billion are below the age of 30. They are young. They have an opportunity to be good actors or bad actors. The world is connected, whether we want it or not. We are connected through tariffs, through trade, through payments. So one bad actor on the African continent can bring down global trade, even before tariffs. So I think the opportunity is, let us hold hands with Africa. We have shown our adaptability rate is high. We have shown our learning rate is high. Venture capitalists, hedge funders, welcome to Africa. Technologists, India, you've held hands with us. Grow deeper with us. 52 countries are opportunities to build health stacks, biology stacks, pharmaceutical stacks, and an opportunity to take over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosemary.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think the one word I like to leave us with is the fact that DPI is a means to an end. And we should all search ourselves as to what is our end, what do we want to achieve with it. It's a journey. We're in different levels in this journey. We need to find out where everyone is so that we can engage him at the level he is. Thank you.
Mr. Isaac?
Human-centered. Human-centered, I believe, yes. Inclusion and simplicity. The digital transformation must serve to the people, not to the system. So that's what we always ask, for example, is the service easy to use? Does it make your life better for the citizens? This is easy to use. Does it make your life better and easier? So we believe that when we put all the efforts into the human needs, of course, we are going to have better results.
Thank you. That's, again, inspiring. Keep humans at the center, not system. Mr. Anish?
So I will say DPI are public-enabled but private provisioned platforms. So private sector institutions should come forward, build innovative solutions on top of the DPI platform, duly incorporate the new technologies like blockchain, AIs, quantum safe computes, and push the country towards a very thriving and inclusive digital economy.
Thank you. I would have loved to summarize, but I don't think I can put it better than what the distinguished panelists did. A big thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the audience for a patient listening. I know we are between you and lunch, but most importantly, a big thank you to Carnegie for bringing all of us together and having this very crucial topic on the agenda. Thank you, everybody.